what comes to my mind is I Hate It Here off of the Tortured Poets Department, where it's
Yes.
just straight up like I'm gonna like completely disassociate from this reality and go to a fantasy world because I can't handle it and like it's also terrible. Hello and welcome to Theratay. My name is Katie. I'm with my co-host Ashley, and we are a podcast that explores the mental health themes of Taylor Swift's music. We are currently exploring songs on the Midnights album, and we are not therapy, but we are a good time, and we really hope you enjoy today's episode. We will be exploring the song Sweet Nothing, which Ashley chose. Ashley, can you tell us why you selected this song?
Yes. I love this song because it's so restful. Like when I hear it, it's like there's chaos in the world and I'm just coming home to my secure attachment, love. Seriously, this talks about like secure attachment and it talks about like having good boundaries when there's chaos. And there's like I do want to ask you I have some things to ask you, but those are the reasons I chose it because it seems like it's such a simple, like sweet, like calming. Like I just picture wildflowers and somebody making sourdough and just like the sweetness of life.
Yes, yes. I think I can smell sourdough bread baking now that you say that. I'm like, yeah, I can picture that. In the kitchen humming, baking sourdough bread. Yep.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah. So I'm going to talk about this the song overall is my question for you, Katie, because we have some boundaries, right? Like the song talks about if anybody listening to this hasn't heard the song, it talks about like there's people outside fighting, people are saying the world is ending and I'm coming home or running home to this person who expects nothing of me.
Uh-huh.
Um and and the song is just like very light and like fun.
Mhm.
Um so Katie, is this song about healthy boundaries? Is this song about apathy? Or is it about both? Like, have we reached a healthy balance, or have we just dug our head in the sand?
I think that it's healthy boundaries. Like I kind of
Okay.
wondered that. I did. I think you're asking a good question and one that I had also asked myself, and I came to that same conclusion. That I think this is just green flags in a
Okay.
relationship because the singer is talking about being really aware of what's happening in the world and to escape that chaos and to find some solace, find some steady ground, finding that in their like partner or in this like relationship. And that, I mean, it could also be a friendship too, but like, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
think?
I was really going back and forth and maybe it's just because of the times right now. But like, and this comes through in some of my answers to our questions too, but like I feel like it's important to be informed about things that are happening in the world. I feel like it's okay for people to ask you to do things. Um, but if any of those things take up too much time, too much emotion, too much of you, then that's not okay. So that's where boundaries need to be set. And I think that's where this person has reached. But I was also like, we do need to be informed. Like we do need to have other relationships too, and be aware of what's going on in the world. Maybe there are like important things to stay up to date on. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where I was kind of like, okay,
Yeah,
are we
yeah.
good or are we
I hear, I think when you talk about like this like escapism, like maybe in an unhealthy way, I almost think what comes to my mind is I Hate It Here off of the Tortured Poets Department, where it's
yes.
just straight up like I'm gonna like completely disassociate from this reality and go to a fantasy world because I can't handle it and like it's also terrible. And dissociation is definitely something we can talk about later. It's very nuanced, but I think in this song, it's more like what you said, a secure attachment. Like I'm involved in this chaotic world and I need to come home to something that's simple, something that's predictable, something that's sweet and authentic. And yeah, I think like that's how it lands on me.
Okay. That's ultimately where I also landed, but I wanted to get your perspective before we got too far in.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'm excited to go further. Did you have other questions?
No, I think that was the main one. So I'll tell you maybe my lyrics and then I want to hear yours.
Great.
Okay. Um, so lyrics that I'm going to be referencing are outside they're pushing, shoving. You're in the kitchen humming. All that you wanted from me was sweet nothing. It's so cute.
So cute.
I love it. And then also this lyric, every time she says this, every time I hear it, I just am like, I'm just too soft for all of it.
Yes, I'm so glad you said that. That is my favorite lyric in the whole song.
It's so good. It's so good.
Mhm.
Okay, tell me your lyrics. What stood out to you?
Yeah. Some of them were repetition, as yours. To you, I can admit I'm just too soft for all of it. All you ever wanted from me was nothing. I like this lyric too. A pebble that we picked up last July, down in your pocket, does it ever miss Wicklow sometimes? On the way home, I wrote a poem. You say, what am I? And then the lyric that you mentioned, industry disruptors and soul deconstructors and smooth talking hucksters out glad handing each other and voices that implore you should be doing more.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's so good. I think that's such an important thing that you added to the I'm just too soft for all of it. To you, I can't admit it.
Yes.
And that's the secure attachment piece.
Hmm.
Like I can be myself with you and you're not going to ask too much of me.
Yes. I think I love this song so much because it's all green flags. And it's just, I feel like, Taylor is so nuanced and she explores a lot of different intense themes. And to have a song that's just like kind of like a lullaby, but like in the sweetest way possible, I'm like, I think you could rebrand this as secure attachment.
I think so.
You're
I
so
think
right about
so.
that.
Yeah. So let's start with you maybe. What questions would you be asking this person?
Yeah. So this song seems to be about an intimate partner that doesn't seem to require anything of you, that makes space for vulnerability and authenticity. What is it like to be in a relationship that allows you to be your soft self? What is it like to want nothing from your partner and relish the satisfaction of your simple relationship?
Oh.
And I really like that this song explores a safe relationship because a lot of, like I mentioned, the songs that sometimes are more popular are songs that are about tension and conflict. And I think that when your nervous system gets acclimated to chaos, that gets interpreted as familiar to your body. And so it can be quite a transition to be in a relationship that is safe, that is vulnerable, that is accepting. Like that can be a kind of a more challenge in some ways, especially if you're not accustomed to having safe relationships. Um, to try and like embrace and allow yourself to settle into the safety of a relationship can be a challenging process for some people.
Yeah. Yeah, like accepting that that's real.
Yes. And if you've experienced, harm in your past, um, a common side effect can be hypervigilance, which is this sense of being on and watching and kind of, I think you could sum it up in like waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like you're always on the lookout for like the next bad thing to happen. And part of our healing journey out of that is allowing ourselves to experience safety and to feel settled in that. And this song speaks to that. So I think I would want to explore with this song slash client, like, what is it like to be in a safe place? Like, how are you accepting that? How are you managing that? How are you easing into that when maybe you've known harshness or chaos or unsafety before?
Yeah. Yeah. As you're saying that, I'm kind of picturing like somebody who like maybe like had a really tough workout or like went through like something really physical and like goes in a hot tub and it's just like,
Hmm.
ooh, like this kind of hurts, but it also feels so good.
Yes, yes. Like mixed signals a little bit. Like I know it's good, but it doesn't mean that may not feel good at first, just because
Mm-hmm.
it's unfamiliar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
are your questions, Ashley?
Yeah. How did you get to this place, both in your relationship and emotionally? Because this kind of tells a story in itself of like going through it seems like this person has been on the other side and is recognizing, like you're saying, like you have gone through something to recognize the fact that you are too soft for this, right?
Hmm.
Like you have to get to a point where you can say that. Um, and then also like relationships don't get to this point in a day. You know, I feel like you have to work towards feeling this safe.
Yes, you have to cultivate it. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm gonna build off of that later in the relationship, but I think you're making a very good point that this speaks to repetition, I think. Like the
Hmm.
simplicity of what is referenced in the song, it speaks to time, like you said, like the
Yeah.
secret ingredient.
Yeah. Yeah. Time and like consistently finding out that it's okay. Um,
Yes. Yes.
so good. Okay. And then another question I had was how do you decide what to care about?
Oh, oh, yes. Okay, keep going.
So we talk because this person is aware of things happening in the world, right? This person's saying that the world's ending, there's people fighting outside, and this is all just a lot.
Hmm.
So this person knows about these things, but isn't like feeling the responsibility to get too involved.
Hmm.
And I think I'm not going to be able to get through this podcast without addressing like our interaction with the news. And
Yes.
I think that this can be said in any time of life, right? Not specifically pointing out right now, but I do think right now is really intense.
Hmm.
And so I talk to clients a lot about like how often are you constantly getting updates? You know, are you constantly getting, updates from like local news, national news? What does that look like and how do you interact with that?
Hmm.
And maybe this song isn't specifically talking about like politics or culture. Maybe it is like family conflict. How often are you getting a text from somebody who you feel like is looking for a fight, right? Or is always asking you for something, like maybe there's an annoying friend who's always like, hey, I need $10. And you're like,
Hmm.
okay, I just gave you 50. How much more do you need from me?
Yeah.
So these are all like completely random examples, but um, I often remind my clients that our phones work for us. We don't work for our phones. So if the news notifications or if the emails or whatever it is are feeling overwhelming, you have the ability to turn those notifications off for a day or change what specific types of notifications you're getting.
Hmm.
So how did you to this client decide like what's worth my time and what's not?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good point. And I think that something that is kind of implied in the song is that like the client was like in those situations and then running back. So like there is a transition of like I was in it and now I'm leaving it. And I think that kind of going back to, this idea of like the news or staying informed or just being involved in things that are draining and tiring is that there is this need to be in it. Like we can't just escape. We can't just fully like excuse ourselves from a conversation, but not living there, coming
Mm-hmm.
back to security, right? Like I think that like going and returning is a really important dynamic that gets highlighted in the song that I think is necessary because we can't avoid everything, all hard things. That's escapism and it's not
Yeah.
sustainable.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I love that she chose the word running,
Yeah,
like she's
you love
not
about it.
she's not driving, she's not biking. She's like, it's like,
She's
okay,
not biking.
it shows like the simplicity in itself, right? Like it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I need to do this fast, but all I have is myself.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
recognize that it would be weird if somebody were like, I'm biking away. But
I'm skipping. I'm
but see,
scootering. I'm I'm taxiing. I don't know. But yes, I hear what you're saying. It's just
Yeah, but
it
like
might take that in a lot of different directions.
but if we take that like if you're running this is happening close enough to you that you can run, right? Like you're not calling a taxi, you're not flying, like I don't
Yeah.
know, maybe I'm putting too much of a meaning on that word than I should be. But it's just interesting like she specifically chose running. And I think it's meant to say like it's happening fast, right? Like I just do not,
Yeah.
I need safety
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
And there's like that refreshing
Mhm.
reprieve from being in this safe place where there's
Right.
sourdough.
Yeah. Like this idea that you can, um, what makes encountering hard things sustainable is that you do take breaks and you
Yeah.
do like rest and reconnect with like people that like, or relationships or places or things or fill in the blank that refresh you. Yeah, that's what like enables it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I feel like we've already done a podcast, but we're only through our questions.
I know, right? We've got so much more to go.
Yeah.
Do you want to lead with like normalization and validation?
Yeah. Yeah. We can shift to that. Um, I said, good job. You're killing it.
Yeah. Yes.
The world is a lot and not everything needs you all at once. And it seems like you recognize that and you're setting up boundaries to make sure that you can be present where you're really needed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
100%. I want to echo all of that.
Yeah. What did
Anything more
you,
to say?
sorry, what did you
I just
say?
asked if there's anything more that you wanted to add to that.
Mm-mm. That's it.
So I wrote down the lyric to you. I can admit I'm just too soft for all of it. And then I wrote down the note, ultimate green flag, because this speaks to allowing someone to see your inner self, the unmasked tenderness that is often too vulnerable to be presented in other areas, right? There's a certain level of masking that we do at work or we do at school or in these more public spheres of our life. And I don't think that's like masking in a bad sense. I just think that like, when you're at work, you're professional, or when you're in school, like you're studious or whatnot. And so your most authentic self hopefully can come out when you're with somebody that's really safe to you and a place that's safe to you. Um, and then I highlighted the line, a pebble that we picked up last July, down deep in your pocket, does it ever miss Wicklow sometimes? And I looked into like what that reference to Wicklow is. And so I'm going to step a little bit outside of like the song as a client here, but Taylor is referencing, I think, a town in Ireland called Wicklow, which somebody that she was seeing at the time filmed a movie at that location. So it's almost like this, if that is true, right? I think it's just a clever reference to being present with somebody and then just being in the moment. Like you notice a flower or you notice the pebble, and you pick up this little, like, inconsequential, nothing memento from that occasion. And I think that it kind of highlights the ordinary ways that small things can become markers and reminders of sweet and tender times with our loved ones. So I think we do this with photos, we do it with souvenirs, trinkets. They're just like these little items that weave memories into our current consciousness. Like, oh, I look up on the wall and there's a photo of that thing that we did together. And that's what it felt like something that would get overlooked, like a pebble. And then it's like, oh, wait, I remember where we got that. And so I think that this is a really clever way of strengthening a relationship because it's recalling and reliving the good times through these small little like pebbles.
I love that. I'm so glad you shared that and highlighted that. And that also shows that, like, while they were together in Wicklow, they had like the slowness in life to look around and notice a small pebble, right? Like, and to pick it up and like observe it and say, like, this is the one that we want, right? Like, I'm sure that's not the only pebble that was there. So it's just kind of sweet that they even like took the time to just like, it's kind of like smell the roses, right? Like,
Yeah.
take time to do that. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
And the surprise of like, I forgot it was there. I almost didn't even know it was at the bottom of your pocket. Like, I don't know. It's just kind of like I just imagine like getting dressed and then putting your hands in your pockets and going like, oh, I just found something. And then that takes me back to this other time. And then suddenly you're transported. back to this other like season of your relationship or memory. And I just liked how ordinary that was and how relatable that is for most people. To just some random thing brings you back to something. And in sometimes that can be bad memories, but in this situation, it was a good memory. And I really love
Hmm.
that.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. There's just like intentionality and sweetness to that.
Hmm. Yeah. And specificity too, like the pebble and Wicklow. Like
Hmm.
they're fun details.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Anything you would challenge with this song?
Yeah, this is a hard question because this is just green flag like song. I think the simplicity, sweetness, and wholeness is just perfection. If I had to challenge something, and honestly, I hesitate to even bring this up because I think we already addressed it, but like it would be maybe, it could be healthy in a relationship to challenge each other and to allow for self development. So, accepting someone as a person, but also recognizing that all people have room to grow, change, and improve. And again, I don't even think that's like the spirit of the song, but just saying, like, as a general truth, it is important for relationships to be both a safe place and a place where we are like encouraged to grow. And that could involve challenge.
Yeah, yeah. And I think we're going to come back to that idea in our next episode, actually. So
Yeah,
stay tuned, listeners.
yeah, we will.
Yeah, that's a great challenge. I didn't have a really good answer to this either. Um just I think noticing the chaos and recognizing, how much of my energy does this go into, but that's already kind of what the song is doing. So
Mhm.
I also, yeah, didn't have a lot to challenge. Just like great work.
Yeah. Which, I mean, if I could even add this too, I think that as a therapist, some of my favorite sessions are just celebration. Like, there
Yes.
are some sessions where we're not digging into like hard, heavy things. We're literally just saying, like, let's celebrate how well something is going in your life because I think sometimes we bring so much attention on the hard that we can miss that if we just spent an hour talking about how well something is going or the accomplishments or your growth, that is worthwhile time.
Yes. And it can be therapeutic too.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Any recommendations that you would provide?
I don't think anything new that I haven't said, just engaging with appropriate boundaries. How about you?
Yeah, I just said be this kind of person to other people. Um,
Oh, say
Notice the
more.
strengths of the relationship and being intentional at keeping these alive. So there were a couple, like there were four things that I noticed that were very intentionally mentioned in the song. Um, Staying vulnerable. I'm too soft for all of it. Complimenting each other. What a mind. Finding safety in each other's presence. I find myself running home to your sweet nothings and appreciating the simplicities of your relationship. You're in the kitchen humming.
Katie, you're bringing it today. This is so good. You're bringing it every day.
That's very kind of you to say. Thank you. But yeah, I think that it can be important to notice what is the everyday ordinary strengths of your relationship and being really intentional at keeping those going. Just because it
Mhm.
flows naturally doesn't mean that it's always going to flow naturally because there are seasons in life that ebb and flow. And so if you can just notice like, oh, this is what makes me feel loved. This is what makes that person feel loved. It makes us feel connected. And then be intentional about continuing that, especially as seasons shift in your life or in the relationship.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, that makes me want to do that. Do those questions for my own, like what relationships do I feel connected and how do I feel that? That's so
Mhm.
good.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. Any encouragements that you would offer, Ashleigh?
Yes. So this is where I kind of reference the lyric, I'm just too soft for all of it, because she says, the voices you implore, you should be doing more as well. I didn't mention that before, but that rhymed.
It
That
did.
was
I'm
awesome.
impressed.
The world will appreciate what you have to offer when you feel ready to offer it.
Mhm. When you feel ready to offer it. Now, that is like a powerhouse of a line right there. You're not
It,
obligated, you're not demanded, but like when you are ready, do you want to speak more to that?
yeah, I think writing that line is my own way of coping with Taylor not releasing Reputation yet.
Feel this so deeply. When you're ready, Taylor, I've been ready for so many years, but whenever you're ready, please.
I and I do mean that. Like every time I'm like, I find myself feeling like a little annoyed or frustrated that there have been so many times that we've thought it's coming out. I'm like, you know what? She's resting right now, and that girl deserves rest. So I'm happy for her, and she can enjoy those little sweet nothings. And I have calmed down now, so it's fine.
I had my moment. We're coming back to call.
Yeah, but for real life too, like if we look at how we spend our time, this is me preaching to myself.
Hmm.
It's really important to remind for me to remind myself that it's okay for me to take some time to rest and I don't have to constantly run or bike or sprint to the next thing. I can be aware of like the fact that I'm a human and the fact that things take time. And so even in like a more realistic sense, how much time are you spending working? How much time are you spending with others? And what's energizing you in between those
Hmm.
times versus just burning yourself out?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
What would you say to encourage this person?
So I had two things. One would be encouraging this person to look and continue to like cultivate and find people who are like home to you, people who allow you to be your true self, and then be that person for others, like I mentioned before. But I think this could happen in a variety of ways. I mean, in this song, like one way to read it is an intimate partnership, but it could be a friendship, it could be a family member, it could be a like maybe a coworker, right? Who's that like that person for you in that context, right? And so maybe you wouldn't bring personal stuff up as often as you would work stuff, but they're still like your safe, vulnerable person in that context. Or maybe at school or whatever context you find yourself in. And then
Yeah.
the other would be to take notes from the person being sung about. They're unbothered by other people who are pushing and shoving and industry disruptors and soul deconstructors and smooth talking hucksters. Like, and I think there's just something to learn from that person. So imagine embracing an emotionally boundaried and protected life in which you can delight in life's simplicity while still being aware and engaging with life's complexities at the same
Mm-hmm.
time. So, what do you want to learn from this person? Not only as a receiver, but also like becoming that.
Oh, that's really good. That's really good. Anything else you want to say about this song?
No, I think we've covered all of it. Well, actually, now that I say that, there's one more thing.
I love it.
So and I don't know who said this, but somebody highlighted as I was like researching the song, the double entendre of the song Sweet Nothing. That sweet nothings are kind of talked about in terms of like just kind of like meaningless flattery. And then how Taylor took that and like basically created like a new way of interpreting that term. Um, that the sweet nothings are the sweet simplicities and they're not meaningless. So I just thought it was like a
Mm,
clever like flip of like what that phrase often means. So I thought that was like a worthwhile mention. And again, if I could cite the person who said it, I would. It was on some website, some Taylor theme website that I read. I probably should quote that, but cheers to that person. That was great insight.
yeah, yeah. I think the office ladies usually reference the internet as where they've gotten information. So we'll shout out the internet for that one.
Thank you, Internet. Anything that you would say, Ashley?
This is more general podcast stuff. I have a friend who listens, every episode. So I am thankful to anybody who's listening to us because again, we're just two scrappy therapists trying to figure out how to podcast. But um, this person said that she was stuck in a snowstorm and was driving and was listening to our podcast as she was like trying to like get through the snowstorm while she was driving by herself. And she said that it brought so much comfort to her while she was doing this. So I was like, hey, you know what? This podcast is worth it if only to get people through the toughest like moments in their days while they're listening to us. So if that's you guys, if you're working out, if you're driving through a snowstorm or mowing your lawn, like glad we can join you through that.
Yes, thanks for bringing us along. And I'm so glad that you felt supported and that you got through. Thank you for being like glad you're safe.
Yeah, yeah. Well, our next episode is going to be on the Great War. We're going to continue with Midnights. If you have a song to request, you can email us at therataypodcast@gmail.com. If you want to find us on Instagram, our handle is at Therataypodcast. And thank you, Jeremy, for editing this podcast. Have a great day, everybody.